Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vishwaro Guratmeti Multibeda Vibhagine Vyomavda Vyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanantam Sati Guru Pranatoshimaham Om Shanti 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 Om. Welcome back, Silvia Salati. Good to have you here. So, are you there?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just coming.
So, we are kind of concluding the first chapter in which all the mantras of the Upanishad was covered, plus about 20, 21, 20, 22, 20 something Karikas. So we have been unfolding those verses of Gaudapada, or Gaudapada, como as Lin tends to say. And we have seen the connection, the relation between the three letters of Aum, and the three universe, the physical material composed by the world and the experiencing entity in that respective state. So we have then Vishwa and Virat, Taijasa and Hiranyagarbha, and Pranya and Ishwara. So we have seen the relationship between the three letters and those three quarters. So the idea of three quarters, as we know, there is a fourth quarter, which is not a double. It's only consciousness, which is present through the three quarters. So the last one we have seen was the letter U. When the letter U refers to Taijasa, which is to be identified by the U. No, the Taijasa we have seen, which implies superiority and also middleness. We have seen what it means. I don't want to be repetitive. Let's go to the last letter, which is M. So the letter M goes for prana, which is by logic is supported by the notion of being a measure and being a ground of dissolution. So we know that prana is integral part of the causal, the macrocosm causal universe. And that is the ground of dissolution. And it's the grounds of creation as well. So from there, everything comes into existence. So, and it is as if it is a measure. And a measure is present in analogy as one of those containers, containing grains in India, which measurably put them into bags, so you don't see what is in there, but it comes out. So likewise, we have the macrocosm causal universe, in which everything is contained, but it's unmanifest. But here and there, it does come out something, and then universe, apparent universe manifests, So, but it goes back to there as well. It comes from the macrocosm causal universe and goes back there, and that macrocosmic is the best definition of Ishwara, because it is the cause of the universe, the cause of the apparent universe, the intelligence and the material cause of the universe. So we have seen that. And then the Karika 21, as after contemplate on the 4 quarters, yeah, of these 3 doubles. Now you are looking into the 4 quarters, but you invite to do a meditation in those 3 quarters. No, it's like meditation requires an object of meditation, and the object of meditation here are these 3 quarters, which is the physical material universe, which is composed, which is composed, formed by the experiencing entity, the creature and the creation, the physical material creation and the creature, the Jivatma, the Vishwa, experience the physical material universe. So we're gonna contemplate, we're gonna meditate on that, holding that as our object of meditation in the light of what was exposed by Gaudapada or Gaudapada. So we're gonna understand in which way, the letter A, as we say, the letter A goes for the physical material universe, referred as Virat, and the experiencing entity, the Vishwa. So this is a meditation that goes through the 3 universe and the 3 experiencing entities. So it's a very complex kind of meditation, which is designed to bring us to the 4th quarter, which is not a double, but it is the substratum, the silence. It's represented by the silence. So it's very technical, all of that. And I'm not, if I would have met this proposed meditation during the days I was attracted to meditation, I would probably not be attracted to this one because it's very complex. You understand? You go from every one of these letters, associating them with the three realms, and then all of that to experience the 4th aspect, which is the substratum of the 3 aspect, which is Turiya, which is represented by silence, only so that later on we can drop the silence and hold to the consciousness that illumines and reveals the silence. So why to go through all these gymnastics if you are Vedantin and you want to immediately, directly, identify consciousness, and isolate consciousness, although consciousness is always present, being superimposed by meteor projections. So you want to identify the consciousness and whatsoever is superimposed upon consciousness. And you may feel attracted to go through all of that. I don't, and I wouldn't 10, 20 years ago, most probably. So, but that is the explanation here, and I don't want to go much into that, okay? Those equations. Anything from you guys? Are you guys attracted to do this meditation? So we all know that consciousness is that which is always present, as Turiya in this case, illumining and revealing any object. And we need meditation, and meditation has 2 aspects to it. There is a preparing meditation, which is presented in Bhagavad Gita as the Upasana in the chapter 6, okay, which utilize one object of meditation so that one can develop a focus or one-pointedness and a flexible mind as your object of meditation becomes more subtle, and then the mind has to open up to that kind of object of meditation. So it produces one-pointedness and flexibility to expansion, mental expansion, according to how subtle is your object of meditation. This is Upasana, which is going to bring about a betterment of the body-mind complex. But then the other aspect of meditation that appears in the chapter 6 of the Gita is Nididhyasana. So when we come to Nididhyasana, we're going to utilize an object of meditation, but this object of meditation, is just the teachings of the Upanishads. So you're gonna contemplate, meditate upon that, and the effort to contemplate on those statements of identity presented by the Upanishad is not designed to produce refinement or purification or development of more qualifications. You understand? Although it indirectly does so, but it's designed to produce self-knowledge. You understand? So one is going to produce improvement, and that is called upasana. Yeah? And but for the Vedantins, the ultimate meditation is to use this statement, these teachings, these final teachings, and hold on to them as a flux, you know, of those Upanishadic notions and concepts which establish my true identity. To just remain obsessed with that. It's not one single thought. It's everything that you keep contemplating, remembering, thinking about, you know. So those are the meditations that a Vedantin in one's more developed later stage, you know, is most interested in. That's why sometimes here and there we say that upasana is present in the Gita as a concession, okay? So it's a concession to ignorance, to be even a little bit more snobby, you know? But it appears in some commentaries because it's just make a conception that you can do something, and you do something to improve your body-mind complex, and that is acceptable, okay? But only so far we have a clear understanding that the upasana, the upasana of improvement, it does not produce self-knowledge, it produces only betterment, no? Purification, refinement, and so on. And then the benefits of doing any upasana is niskama, or also what's the other one? Niskama benefit, and the other is sagama. I forgot the other expression. Where is it? So the previous mantras we talked about sakama benefit and niskama benefit. So niskama upasana will produce spiritual growth, yeah? And then your desire for self-knowledge will grow. Yeah? But sakama upasana, yeah, is going to produce worldly benefits, worldly gains, you know, mundane gains, you know. So the true Vedantin wants to do upasana for spiritual growth. And that's why, after all, Karma Yoga is far superior, because Karma Yoga is the one that does a lot of sadhanas, which build him in their day-to-day actions of life, you know, and they do so for the sake of spiritual growth. That is the number one priority of the Karma Yoga. And then necessarily, and then of course, without neglecting the material needs, the goals for I need to pay the rent or pay my mortgage or whatever. Yeah? So, but here we talk about a meditator who wants to go through those three pairs, which leads to the silence, which is represent Turiya or consciousness, no? Brahman. And then here there is it says the one who does these meditations in the letter, in the text, Vedantic texts, in the Upanishads here and there, we find a lot of promise, you know, and those promise, they serve the purpose to encourage and motivate the seeker. No? But as I have said, so one who has spiritual wisdom not necessarily is going to get love and respect by the others. And especially because, I mean, it's enough you say something. If I say something that Lynn does not like to hear, I mean, her love goes away, her respect goes away. You understand? So we never know. Huh? So, and once with the internet nowadays, you say what you say, and everything is openly available in the internet. People sees, which I myself, as a exposer, a teacher of Vedanta, say here and there, it hurts people's feelings in the spiritual circles here and there. You understand? It's unavoidable. We don't want to disturb the mind of the ignorant, like Krishna says, but sometimes even if you don't want, you do disturb, because people find things about you here and there, things that you say, your notions about spiritual wisdom. So we will understand the identity of silence with Brahman and with the last letter of the no? So that person becomes loved by people, by all the people, and worshipped by everyone. And worshipping Ishvara, worship the scriptures is going to give both. That is the stand of us Vedantins, and we know that a Karma Yogi will not only get spiritual benefits, but will get material benefits as well. You understand? So you have the palam on 2 levels. Why? Because even if you are not focused on material benefits, so if you develop the vision and the attitude, the spirit of a Karma Yogi, your actions, which are free from expectations in regards to results and other things, your mind becomes much more efficacious, So, and then you become better in anything you do. What is a skill? Skill is not the ability to do something to perfection by repetition. A skill is the ability to do any and everything, with a certain attitude and a state of mind that makes you intelligent human being, and even ready to improvise and find solutions when repetition did not provide vasanas enough so that you do things. So the Karika 23, the letter A leads to the meditator to Virat. We have seen all of that. The letter U leads to Hiranyagarbha, and you get a lot of knowledge. According to the promise here, if you meditate on the letter U, you're going to get all the knowledge of the mental world, the subtle world. And the letter M leads to Ishvara. And you don't move from one thing to another. There is no travel in the case of moving to Turiya, which is represented by silence. So you are going from one letter to another. It gives us the impression of linear movement, travel from one letter to another. And then the last passage is to move from M to Amatra, which is silence. So in the case of moving to silence, so you have nothing where to cling to. Silence cannot be established as this or that. You cannot even spell silence. The moment that you say anything about silence, you destroy the silence. So silence is something so incredible, subtle. But as we have seen, cannot be really a good representation of Brahman or Turiya or consciousness because it is a negative entity. Silence, the way we understand it, is negative because it implies the removal, the absence of sound or noise. No? So, but anyhow, everybody enjoys silence. No? And there are 2 levels of silence. We have seen that. One is the physical silence. So one goes to the woods, like myself, because I like silence, or I like the sound of nature, all the insects and the frogs and these. It's so romantic, it's so beautiful. There is a certain energy to it that is said to be very healing as well on the psychological, mental, physical realm level as well. So you go to silence, you enjoy silence, but you're only going to enjoy the silence of being in the woods if you have inner silence. If your mind is very noisy, you are not going to enjoy the silence of nature. Huh? So we have these levels of silence. One is the formal, physical, external silence, and the other is the inner silence. Huh? Even when you reach the outer silence and the inner silence, and then at the very end, when you became so good in meditating on Aum, and then Gaudapada says, now, since you came to here, you have to understand that Turiya is not this mental or physical silence. Turiya is the consciousness illumining and revealing the outer silence and the inner silence, okay? Of course, he could have said that before we begin doing all this travel. And we know that, you understand? But for many people, if people, they need to do things, they are going to feel attracted. Oh, this is a different play here. Huh? So I'm going to travel through these 3 letters and blah, blah, blah. So if people are inclined to do things, they do any kind of thing to experience some silence. And that is a very complex meditation, involves a ground, a context of a lot of knowledge in regards to, the three realms of causal, subtle, and physical, but it's a good meditation. So for anybody attracted to. So we experience silence every day when we are meditating, or when we are in deep sleep, dreamless sleep. And we can meditate in a way that we can gain a mind which is so silent that is almost as if it's sleeping, okay? But anyhow, the silence that we gain through this profound meditation that produce the external sense of silence, but most important, the inner silence, in spite of outer noises, even sometimes, So in the beginning, we need to avoid environments with outer noise, but that should not be a condition for you to experience your inner silence. So once we get that inner silence, we have one problem, because we get to that inner silence every day when we have our dreamless sleep. But what is the limitation about that inner silence, which is just a break? It's a break from all the noise of day-to-day experience of life. So there is an analogy here, is that likewise, when we go to dreamless sleep, we experience this inner silence. So when we go between one birth and the next birth, we go to this inner silence, rebirth. But if you become a Jiva Mukta, and then this rebirth is over for you. So the Vedantine is the one who is no longer interested in temporary solutions. Otherwise, the Vedantine would not be a Vedantine, but would be a yog searching for Nirvikalpa experience, samadhis. So I'm not satisfied with the deep sleep in the night. I want to sleep during the day. For that, I need to become a yogi, and I need to experience Nirvikalpa samadhi. But even if you get to have a vasana producing the state of Nirvikalpa samadhi still, so how long does that last? So what is Turiya? Turiya is consciousness, is the silence which is beyond transactions, free from the world. This is mantra 12. Beyond transactions, free from the world. It is auspicious. It is non-dual. So you see, the inner silence and the outer silence has an element of duality, which is the experiencer and the silence experienced, the experienced silence, okay? So now it says it's non-dual, the Turiya, the silence referred to Turiya, or consciousness, is beyond duality, beyond the transactions. It's free and independent of the world, and it's non-dual. There is no duality, experiencer and experienced, okay? Oh, and then it's Nirvikalpa Samadhi. No, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, there is still a duality there. There is an element of someone experiencing in a very subtle and unsubstantial way, the absence of the world. So, and the reason that there is still duality is that it comes back once that those energies sustaining the nirvikalpa samadhi modify. So there is still experienced duality there. But the silence, which is consciousness or turiya, is non-dual. So if it's non-dual, there is no room for experience, okay? Because experience is only possible in duality. And then people say, no, I'm interested in experience. I want to experience Brahman. I want to experience bliss, ecstasy. I want to experience all these upper lokas and so on. So it all goes for what one still desires, you know. And most people desires turiya to be something, a wonderful silence, wonderful states that can be experienced in duality, and that's not possible. And that's the bad news. Yeah? But it's also the good news, because anything experienced in duality has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And a mature Vedantin is not interested in anything that come and go. Yeah? So you're interested in something that is forever, ever present and non-dual, one without a second. So what are you interested? You're interested in turiya. You're interested in non-dual silence, which is the nature of consciousness, non-dual consciousness, because if there is no second, there is no potential for any modification within this silence to produce duality. Thus, O.kara is the very self, the very I, the very Atma. One who knows, enters this self by himself, in himself. There is no question of entering. It's just a question of recognition. You recognize your inner silence beyond absence or presence of sound. Okay? And what is the silence? It's not an experienced sound. It's non-dual, as they say. It's my nature as consciousness, as Brahman, as turiya. Okay? And a lot of people have trouble with Vedanta. They say, but what is the good of understanding that? What is turiya? That you are turiya. You are the Atma yourself, and you are silence. You are silence beyond the duality of sound and silence. So what is the benefit of knowing that? So the benefit is very simple. So once you know that you do not change, you are the only reality, one without a second. You are beyond time, beyond space. You are always ever present, okay? And that is your true nature, identity, okay? So you're going to relax respect to experience what you desire, experience what you prefer, because you know that you does not change. You are species. You are beyond transaction. Yeah, you are beyond duality. So you are there, and the world of transactions, of duality is moving on the screen of my consciousness, you know, and I am the silent consciousness, akarta, never modify according to the experience of the body-mind complex. So the benefit is that the body-mind complex gets the bonus, as I like to put. The bonus in respect to the knowledge of one's true nature, it somehow leaks to our apparent nature as Jiva-Atma, and then the Jiva-Atma relax because she knows that fundamentally nothing can really affect me. I am the non-dual turiya, the silence beyond noise or sound and silence, and nothing happens to me. I'm free and independent of the mind and its experience. This is my very Atma, my very self, okay? So you are not going to experience yourself because yourself is experiencing you all the time. You say, oh, I want to experience. The self is experiencing you, but the self is not an entity, experience entity, but it's not, but it is when it appears with Jiva-Atma. Once Jiva-Atma knows the Jiva-Atma is not Jiva-Atma, but it's the self, and then the self is kind of experience itself, you know? So you have this element of experience within clear and firm self-knowledge, but it's not an objective experience, but it's experience that which is your true nature, always shining in the human intellect. No, so O.kara. What else can we say again? When we talk about equating silence and Turiya, the word silence needs to be understood. It has a special connotation. It's not the physical, traditional, conventional silence, so I have covered that. It's a silence beyond that. It's the silence of one's true nature, as that which is a conscious, witnessing conscious, non-experienced principle. Okay, and once we know that life is experienced differently, but you cannot experience that. But once you know that, that's why we say knowledge is the only solution. Knowledge that which once known is known for good, you know. So this physical conventional silence is description, a negative description that cannot be the self. Otherwise, we would be moving into Buddhism. Negative notions of emptiness, void, and nothingness as the reality. So when we say nothingness or emptiness, it's a negative notion in respect to Brahman, because it involves the removal of the universe so that you have a vacuum or void or nothingness. So it's a negative description of the self. That's why Vedanta comes to correct that. It says this is not good. You need to understand the self as the fullness of that which is the only reality. And that is a positive entity, although it's not an experiencing entity. The idea of nothingness is a experiencing entity, experience the absence of the world mentally and physically. Only knowledge will bring about this realization and the benefits of this realization. They are not what the yoga people believe to find, which is extraordinary, beautiful, transcendental experience, you know? No, none of that. The Vedantine, when it's mature, is not interested in any of that, you know? Anything that, you know, anything that you gain other than yourself, you're going to lose. The only thing that you're never going to lose is that which is already gained, already ever accomplished, which is your true nature. You need to understand what it means. You are consciousness. This consciousness is, among other aspects of consciousness, natures of consciousness. We say consciousness by nature is also existence, and it's also non-dual, yeah? And ananta, and so on. But another aspect of consciousness, which is introduced here by this Upanishad, is a matra, which is a word which literally says silence. But it's a silence in reference, you know, in comparison, in analogy to the inner and outer silence, which feels good when we experience, especially the inner silence, okay? So that consciousness here is presents as one of its features as silence. And this silence is consciousness principle that reveals the absence of sound or the presence of sound. In Panchadasi, Vidyaranya gives the beautiful example of Nataka, Tipam, in which he reveals the play on the stage, and the stage is there, and then the play is over. I mentioned this analogy this weekend in my Vedanta class in Portuguese, and I played with it, and I add the fact that some Vedantins were there. Okay, there was a group of Vedantins that were there. They want to enjoy the play, and then they see the actors, and they see the setup, with everything. And when they open the curtains, and then you see the setup, and you see the players. So the players, the players together with the whole scenario there and so on represent the mind, and the players could be seen as the thoughts, and we like to see a play, a story, a nice story. Everybody's entertained by a nice story, intriguing story, So, and we are watching there, but there was a group of Vedantins sitting there, and then when everything was over, the play was over, the curtains closed, and so on, and then everybody went away because they say now there is nothing anymore. And then the manager came to this group of Vedantins and then said, "Hey guys, so everything is over. There is nothing anymore for you here." And the Vedantins looked and said, "What do you mean? I came here to watch the play and the scenario and the story, but most importantly, I came here because I never miss on the light. The light is still on. As long as the light is on, I remain here because it's what I love the most, because it represents the light of my own consciousness." So we miss on the light, and that is the analogy presented by Vidyaranya on Panchadas. So the mind is the stage, the thoughts are the dancers. When the thoughts are gone, you say that the mind is blank. In analogy, the mind is blank, but the blankness is revealed by the consciousness principle, and you are this consciousness principle being represented as the silence beyond the inner silence. It's going to illumine and reveal the relative sound and the relative inner silence. That is Turiya. This Turiya is available at all times. One who knows Turiya appears as becoming Turiya or merging into Turiya, but there is no question of any connecting or moving or traveling, There is no question of really merging, Or if you want to say merging, you're going to have to stretch your notion and say, okay, so it's like merging water with water. So it's like merging the space within a clay pot with the outer space. There is no question of merging. And what is the benefit of this? And moksha. This is moksha, and this moksha benefit silence. No, this has a passage that I found very interesting. I even mentioned with you that this total measure. This is total measure. It's like water merging into water. This is moksha. With this moksha benefit, O.kara vichara is over. So you mean that all the upasana element of this proposal of meditating on the three letters brings us to what? To let go of our attention on the three universe, the three bodies, the three universe, all phenomena, and transferring our attention to the space of the silence in which all of that appears. And that is that is referred here as not as Om-kara Upasana, as you were saying before, but Om-kara Vichara. This was very, very good signal here. So we went through the Om-kara Upasana that has driven us to Om-kara Vichara. And now the Mandukya Upanishad is over. But Gaudapada has not finished yet with us. Karika 24, one should know Om-kara in terms of quarters. The 4 quarters are the 4 letters, and there is no doubt having known Om-kara in terms of the 4 quarters, one should not think of anything else. Okay, so this is a good meditator that becomes obsessed with his or her object of meditation. So he's thinking of Ishvara, yeah? From Ishvara unmanifest to Ishvara manifest as pure knowledge, the knowledge of everything, and Ishvara manifest as the physical universe, yeah? In its material cause as well. So having known Om-kara in terms of these 4 quarters, one should meditate on it, yeah, as often as possible. So it means to say that after we understand the 4 quarters, one should practice Nididhyasana. And here Swamiji talks about Nididhyasana, no longer he uses the word Upasana. So Nididhyasana fundamentally is the Vedantic meditation, dhyana. So after understanding these 4 equations, one should practice Nididhyasana with the Om-kara mantra, but transferring one's attention from the 3 letters and what they represent to the silence, pervading, permeating, you know, and the silence that remains once you let go of the 3 letters. Om-kara can be used to support for Nididhyasana. Okay. So Om-kara, Nididhyasana, we're going to practice Nididhyasana with Om-kara, but this Nididhyasana with Om-kara is a sort of Upasana, which serves as support for the actual Nididhyasana. Can you see what it takes us? How we do this meditation, chant Om, and when you come to silence, you have to dwell upon the knowledge that there are always 2 components in that silence. One is the relative silence, and the other is Turiya, consciousness. So then you have these 2 elements. So I go through the 3 letters. The 3 letters takes me to a silence. The silence is no longer just outer silence, but it's an inner silence. And then I enjoy that inner silence, but I am invited to turn my attention from the inner silence to consciousness and claim that I am this silence. I am this Turiya. I am this consciousness beyond the physical relative silence. This is called Nididhyasana on Turiya, on the silence. So silence, as we know, is an incredible symbol of the self. Most of us, consciously or unconsciously, we have been meditating because we want to have an experience of silence, because silence has been represent something which is very auspicious, as something that in some circles is associated as Ishvara, as God, you know, and in others is just associated as Samadhi, which for many represents the ultimate reality. But whatsoever silence feels good, inner silence feels very good. Inner noise feels very disturbing, concerning. And so everybody enjoys silence for the sake of feeling good. And that's how most of us began meditating. Now we are saying that the silence here is just a platform, a jumping board for you to understand that there is a consciousness witnessing that inner silence that feels good. So, in fact, there are many swamis who use mantras such as Om for Nididhyasana. Mantras can be used for Upasana, but can also be used for Nididhyasana. Any mantra can be used as Upasana. And any mantra can be used as Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana is when a mantra is understood in its meaning, in its profound meaning, and you do not focus on the repetition, on the remembrance in that sound, just for the sake of the sound, just for the sake of create one-pointedness, but you focus on that, remembering the meaning, and with the goal of assimilating the meaning of a mantra and internalizing that as a pointer towards my true nature. You understand? So any mantra can be used as Upasana as well as Nididhyasana. Yeah. And then Swami Dayananda explained here how we do that using the Om-kara. Yeah? It says like, you repeat the mantra Om, for example, Om Mano Narayanaya, Naranaya, Naranayanaya, and Naranayaya. It's difficult, this one. Huh? So you repeat the mantra. A mantra of your choice. So your choice, your deity Narayan, or Naranayanaya deity, and then you have great love to your deity. It represents, represents the creator, and then you stay focused on this mantra, for example, yeah. And then this is the meditation which gives emphasis on the sound of the mantra, but then you have to go to the meaning. And when you use the very same mantra for Nididhyasana, yeah, you chant the mantra initially and focus on the meaning, and the meaning should produce something. In the case of Om, it should produce silence. The meaning may produce a deeper understanding because that mantra is a signpost. Every mantra is a signpost. So in Om, it's pointing to what? To the silence, beyond sound and silence. Yeah? So you gradually come from the mantra to the silence. Therefore, when you come to the silence again, you have to understand the silence behind the silence, and stay in that understand that the silence is subject to change, but I consciousness, I am the very nature. My very nature has the features of the silence beyond duality, So a consciousness, I go from Turiya to consciousness, and consciousness is Turiya, from silence, a mantra to Turiya, which is consciousness. There's one and the same mantra can be used as Upasana as well as Nididhyasana. Here the mantra is Om. In this meditation, one comes to silence. And I'm never affected by silence and sound, so I am awareness of the silence beyond the silence. Yeah? Okay, how are you guys doing? Too much repetition? I mean, we always talk about the same thing, every time. Different angles and different examples. And we just need to keep doing this until this knowledge is firm and clear. Okay, Karika 24. Here he does review a little bit. He reveals everything. I'm not going to repeat myself. The Upanishad says that whoever does this fourfold meditation equation becomes the Atma, the Turiya. With these benefits, this Upanishad is completed. From now on, we're going to deal with the Karikas. Yeah? And Turiya mantra, the focus. Okay. O.kara must be seen as identical to Atma. We have covered that. Mantra 25. One should fix the mind on O.kara. O.kara is fearless Brahman. For one who is ever established in O.kara, there is no fear. So this is again another compromise. Okay, so it says here that O.kara, which is Brahman, which is consciousness, is fearless. So fearless again is a negative attribute, which involves removal of fear. Fear and removal of fear refers to the Jivatma, living in duality. So it says that Brahman is fearless, or O.kara is fearless Brahman. So in which way O.kara is fearless Brahman? Yeah? In which way consciousness is fearless Brahman? It can only be as Jivatma. Jivatma, who knows I am Brahman, it enjoys an attribute which does not really belong to Brahman, because Brahman is beyond fear and desire. But it enjoys the cancellation of fear in a large extension, because to have fear, which is a negative desire, is due to self-ignorance. Now I know I am Brahman, I am whole, full, and complete, I'm the only reality, nothing can affect me, I'm independent and self-contained, and so on. And then the fear, the fearless Brahman refers to the Jivanmukta, the Jnani, who knows I am Brahman, therefore I experience fearlessness. Okay? So Brahman is not fearless. Okay? Is Jivatma, who knows I am Brahman, becomes a Jivatma less subject to desire and fear, much less subject. Okay? And for that, we need to keep our mind fixed on what? On consciousness, on the scriptures, or on O.kara. And then we're going to enjoy this benefit, this palam, which is neutralization of desires and fears. For one who is ever established in Aham Brahmasmi, or O.kara, the experience of fear is minimized big time. And you never know, maybe it can be erased completely. Any reactions of fear, some of them may be even so profoundly natural and as a instinct to survive. But generally speaking, psychological fear is not present in the mind of Jnani who is properly established in Aham Brahmasmi. O.kara represents Brahman. In the silence part is Nirguna Brahman. So O.kara, the three letters, this is the represents Saguna Brahman, and the silence represents Nirguna Brahman. This is very nice. You follow? So you go through Saguna Brahman, and then the silence is Nirguna Brahman, is something free from attributes such as sound and silence. And this Brahman is the only source of security. Here, there is a logic beyond what I said to explain why the Jivatma, who knows I am Brahman, experience fearlessness. Because Brahman is the only source of security, because it's one without a second. In duality, in plurality, you never know what is around us. Something may come and threaten our sense of security and peace at any time. But if you know I am Brahman, and then somehow you enjoy that which is an attribute of your true nature, which is total security, and you experience a reflection of that total security, which is inherent to your true nature, in your inferior nature, because you know that I have my own source of security, and everybody has their own source of security, like the treasure below the floor of the house of someone who is still begging on the streets of India. yeah, without knowing that there is a lot of money buried below the floor. So everybody has this inner source of security, but very few people realize it. So realizing that makes the Jivatma, the Jiva Mukta, to feel secure. But it's a different sort of security. It's not a security because you have money, you have friends, you have family, you have Jesus. A security beyond all of that, understand? Because nothing can really affect you. It's like Ramji likes to put this ananta or security sense as a confidence that nothing can really touch you as consciousness. Okay. Time will affect everyone, but it will not affect the one who knows I am Turiya, I am Brahman. Therefore, do not forget this knowledge and abide in Brahman as Brahman, and your fear will go gradually. Fear is samsara. Fear is one of the aspects of samsara. Samsara is a psychological illness which involves a long list of negative, disturbing thoughts, emotions, among them desires and fears. So you are free from samsara. And fear is integral part of samsara. Fear is a sort of desire to avoid certain things, and not be hooked to desires and fears, and everything that follows, is moksha. Okay. Karika 26, just one more Karika. Indeed, O.kara is the lower Brahman and O.kara. O.kara is known to be the higher Brahman also. O.kara is without cause, without effect, without inside, without outside, and without decay. So O.kara is the lower Brahman, and O.kara is also known to be the higher Brahman. O.kara is without cause, without effect, without inside, without outside, and without decay. Okay, I did not read this verse, and I did not see the commentaries of Swami Paramarthananda, and I don't remember, because I already unfolded these teachings, this text in Portuguese language. Let's see what Swami says here. The Upanishad used the word O.kara, Gaudapada. Also start the discussion with O.kara in the 24th Karika. From now on, from 25th on, we're on the 26th Karika. From the 25th Kara, he replaced the word O.kara by the word pranaya. This word is not used in the Upanishad. Pranaya is the same synonymous of O.kara that is used in other Upanishads. Okay, so he used pranaya, but it was not translated for the Portuguese, for the English singing. Does it appear? No, no. No. So only in the Sanskrit appears the pranaya. Okay, it's just a symbol of Brahman, which is a symbol of O.kara, Turiya. For Brahman, a god, the ideal name is O.kara. That's why O.kara is called pranaya. God is one, and Om is one syllable. Okay. Brahman is Saguna and Nirguna, and O.kara is also Saguna and Nirguna, so this is the bottom line. We have touched this concept a little bit before when we talked about the Saguna Brahman and Nirguna Brahman, Om being Saguna Brahman, and silence being Nirguna. Brahman is on those lines. I was expecting it would be something on those lines. Brahman is Saguna and Nirguna at the same time. Omkara is also Saguna and Nirguna. The sound part of Omkara is Saguna, and the silence part is Nirguna. In all respects, Omkara and Brahman are identical. Thus, Om is the ideal name for Brahman. The Omkara represents Saguna Brahman. The silence represents Nirguna Brahman. We have seen that before, and it's very nicely put. Nirguna Brahman is without a cause and without effect. It's before or beyond causality or duality or diversity. Without any second thing internally or externally, and without degeneration and declension. Omkara can be used for Saguna and Nirguna Dhyam. So, okay, we have seen this. There's nothing, it's more or less identical of what we have understood before. So, Karika 27, we're going to see it from next Friday. And then we're going to end it. It's only 3 more Karikas, okay? And then there is a summary that I'm not going to cover because it would be too repetitive. We need to understand that Swami does these things. It's his style to hammer, to hammer, to hammer, to hammer. And he does it very often because a lot of the times he does this class once a week, and then he has to remember where he left. I do that in my Brazilian group because I do only the weekend, and then I have to somehow make the connection. We are not going to do the summary. We're going to move into the second chapter, which is very beautiful. Second, third, and fourth are very profound and very beautiful. I enjoyed more the Karikas than the Upanishad itself in this case. Okie dokie. Okay. Anything from you guys? Welcome back, Sylvia.
Thank you.
We meet again this coming Friday. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Mudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste. Love you. See you coming Friday. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Arlindo. Goodbye.
Goodbye.